After a lot of talks and crazy build-up, Alex Pereira revealed that he would like to stay at light heavyweight for now rather than moving back down to middleweight or up to the heavyweight division. He says he would like to move eventually but understands weight class moves requires a lot of preparation. Alex Pereira enjoys the narrative that he is the final boss for Khalil Rountree Jr. as Rountree has already beaten two kickboxers in Gokhan Saki and Dustin Jacoby. Pereira said that Rountree looked good in Saki fight, but he didn't beat Jacoby. He was gifted that split decision. Pereira asks Rountree Jr. to donate to charity if he is to shoot a takedown Saturday night. Rountree in response says he will donate a percentage of his UFC 307 fight purse to a Las Vegas-based charity regardless of whether he shoots a takedown against Alex Pereira. Pereira also talks about his next potential opponent Magomed Ankalaev and rates him a 5 out of 10 fighter. Ankalaev reacts and requests him not to lose this Saturday. Magomed Ankalaev also says that Pereira's magic won't work on him because he is protected by God because he pays 5 times a day. Alex Pereira's former kickboxing foe Artem Vakhitov is fighting this Tuesday night on Dana White's Contender Series to get the UFC contract. Vakhitov and Pereira are 1-1 in their kickboxing careers. Answering a question about him, Pereira says Vakhitov won't be able to replicate his story with Israel Adesanya and he doesn't expect to cross paths with him in the UFC. Israel Adesanya, by the way, is picking Alex Pereira to knock out Khalil Rountree Jr. inside 2 rounds at UFC 307 and says his story with Alex Pereira is over. He now has his eyes set on a rematch with Sean Strickland after losing his title to him in September 2023. Strickland, on the other hand, is still putting efforts to get his rematch with the current middleweight champion. He reminds DDP that he was given a gift in their first fight. Strickland could be frustrated now as du Plessis' head coach has revealed that DDP's next opponent is most likely Robert Whittaker if he beats Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 308. If he wins, then Dricus du Plessis vs Robert Whittaker 2 will most likely happen in Sydney, Australia in February 2025 at UFC 312. We all know it's not an easy fight for Whittaker. Just like many fans, featherweight champion Ilya Topuria is also backing Khamzat Chimaev to crush Robert Whittaker at UFC 308. Topuria says although he likes Whittaker, Khamzat Chimaev is a beast and he is gonna crush him. Topuria also talks about a move up to the lightweight division and a potential fight with Islam Makhachev. He says he sees himself fighting Makhachev in the future, but only in the octagon and not on the streets because he would have to pay Makhachev's medical bills. Bellator lightweight champion Usman Nurmagomedov responds to Topuria's remarks about his friend and sparring partner Islam Makhachev. He asks, "When did you ever fight on the streets, European boy?" And El Matador fires back immediately, saying, "It has been a long time to be honest. How are you doing with drugs? Are you still on steroids?" Fighting in the co-main event of UFC 308 for the bantamweight belt, Juliana Pena is willing to do extreme things to the champ in order to get the win at UFC 307. She said she would do whatever it takes to win the belt, like poking her eye out and even biting her finger. She also exchanged some words with Kayla Harrison too in the press conference, who immediately silenced her by saying, "You started your career in 2009, you are 10-5. I started in 2018 and I'm 17-1. The champ Raquel Pennington is, by the way, ready for Kayla Harrison 2 on Saturday night if Juliana Pena pulls out at the last minute at UFC 307. UFC 307's first 2 fights order is changed. Kayla Harrison will now kick off the PPV card, followed by number 15 ranked welterweight contender Kevin Holland versus number 10 ranked middleweight contender Roman Dolidze. Kevin Holland said at UFC 307 Media Day that after snatching Roman's top 10 middleweight spot, if he ever gets to a title shot with Belal Muhammad is still welterweight champion, then he will take the shot at welterweight over middleweight because Dricus du Plessis is a way better champion than Belal Muhammad. Holland, who is the most active UFC fighter, rips on UFC roster who complains about fighters' pay. He tells them to fight more if you want to be paid more. Number 9 welterweight contender Stephen Thompson, who is fighting number 11 ranked Joaquin Buckley in the preliminary card, isn't happy being the prelims headliner. His opponent Joaquin Buckley, by the way, has settled his beef with Daniel Cormier during an interview filming. Buckley said he would have preferred if the two could have had the conversation in an empty room and off camera like men, but says it is what it is. Fighting in the feature bout at UFC 307 PPV, UFC Hall of Famer Jose Aldo is once again gunning for gold. He believes a fight versus Sean O'Malley would be a great fight for him as he is a bigger name compared to previous opponents Jonathan Martinez and current opponent Mario Bautista. Nate Diaz shares his future plan with the fans on Twitter, where he said that he will box Terence Crawford, then fight Conor McGregor next at 168 pounds. Dan Hooker also says he will be in attendance at the BKFC event in Marbella, Spain next weekend to chat with Conor McGregor about potentially being his return opponent. Conor, on the other hand, has called out Terence Crawford for a $200 million two-fight deal, one in boxing and one in MMA. Crawford is tempted to take the $200 million deal. Still, he has confirmed that he spoke to Conor McGregor directly on phone and he rejected a potential crossover MMA fight. He revealed that he told Conor that he is not getting in no effing octagon with him, so he can be kicking him and elbowing him. Crawford also talked about his next potential opponent, Sebastian Fundora. He said, if Fundora is licking his chops over my performance versus Israil Madrimov, then I should be licking my chops because Madrimov knocked Fundora out in sparring. Oscar De La Hoya blasts at Eddie Hearn on his weekly rant saying Canelo dumped you because you are incompetent and incapable of doing your job. All of your 14-man event fighters this year either lost or got injured. Now something about new fight announcements. Liam Paro returns to Puerto Rico, where he won the title in June with a major upset win over Sabriel Matias to defend his IBF super lightweight title against Richardson Hitchens on December 7. Hitchens was in talks to fight former champ Jose Pedraza, but promoter Eddie Hearn instead finalized a compelling 50-50 matchup between two of his top 140-pounders on a neutral ground. Noya Inoue versus highly underrated Sam Goodman is also being finalized for Inoue's undisputed super bantamweight world titles on Christmas Eve, December 24th in Tokyo, Japan. Canelo Alvarez is also rumored to fight in Japan this December, but now Bob Arum said that he would like to make Canelo Alvarez versus Christian Mbili for May 2025. It is possible that Canelo Alvarez first take a fight in Japan in December and then fight Mbili in May 2025. By the way, Anthony Yarde's return is also announced with the opponent to be chosen yet. Yarde will return on the boxers Adam Aziz vs O'Hara Davies undercard on October 19th in London. And Janibek Alimkhanuli knocks out Andrei Mikhailovich in round 9 to defend his IBF middleweight world title. Janibek is also WBO world champion, but the belt was not at stake in this fight amid a bizarre conflict, and Janibek could now be stripped of it as a result. If so, Hamza Shiraz WBO number 1 versus Denzel Bentley WBO number 2 could be ordered for the vacant WBO middleweight world title. And now we have some UFC fight announcements too. Jim Miller's return fight is booked after his tough loss from Bobby Green at UFC 300. He will take on Damon Jackson at UFC 309 on November 16th. Basil Hafiz vs Oban Elliott is also added at UFC 309 card, with Carlos Prates vs Randy Brown also being in works for the same PPV. Two other fights for UFC 311 card on January 18th, 2025. Jailton Almeida will take on Sergey Pavlovich and Reinya Nakamura will fight Muin Gafurov at UFC 311. And last but not least, Cody Stamen will fight Damon Blackshear on November 9th at UFC Vegas 100, and Cub Swanson will fight Billy Quarantillo at UFC Tampa on December 14th. And that's all for now. Hit the like button if you enjoyed and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with the fight world. Now I'll see you in the next video, so till then, do whatever you want.